We're live. Hey, say hi.
Hi.
Hi. So I don't know exactly what topic it is, but it's got something to do with this AI stuff.
Yep.
And I'm struggling with the trade show
Yeah.
stuff and events. So we talk about AI stuff and not so much about event stuff, but it's kind
Okay.
of about event stuff.
Yeah.
This is sort of the dangers of AI.
Oh, there's lots of dangers of AI.
Of it knowing what prompt you're using. I saw a little skit that was being done. A guy was talking to the AI,
Mhm.
and the AI made a picture of him. He says, "Okay, that's perfect. Just get rid of the people in the background." So you see the AI, and his eyes are rolling and stuff, and he's processing stuff. And then the guy looks at it, and there's still a bunch of people in the background.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he goes, because he got rid of the people in the background. Not in the picture, in real life.
Oh,
So the guy didn't realize what he had said in his prompt. Get rid of the people in the background. And
got
there
it.
was hundreds of people in the background. So, we could do something like that just by saying the wrong thing and the robot would interpret it incorrectly.
Yeah, that's funny.
No, it's not.
That's pretty
There was a picture of
hilarious.
him at the state fair or something. There was thousands of people behind him and he was doing a selfie and he goes, "Could you just get rid of the people in the background?" All of a sudden you see all the gears turning. And then the guy looks at it and the people were still there. And he realized, oh my God, he just eliminated people from the planet.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, AI is a little funky. There is a lot of potential problems with AI.
I like it in that I used it for this video we're doing because I
Mhm.
asked it to write something about the trade show world, the expo world, and how AI and Google are affecting resourcing and things. And then I said, add some hashtags that would attract event planners and exhibitors.
Right.
So it just did that.
Okay.
But I can see how it would, I mean,
So, how is it affecting that world? Like, is AI making it harder for you or easier for you?
um, I think easier, but it's not a good thing. It doesn't seem like it's a good thing because,
Elaborate.
well, it's kind of like the event industry. You used to know how to do it. You used to know how to hire a graphic designer to put together an invitation.
Sure.
And you used to have to go to a hotel and negotiate with the people to get the ballroom and pick out the menu with the chicken, steak, and fish. And now you can just go on to Eventbrite and create an event, and it can be a virtual event, so you don't have to worry about food. And everybody's doing it, so it's saturated. I shouldn't say everybody. I always say everybody, but a lot of people are doing these events.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets really saturated. And like I said, I'd used it for this description in here, and it was easy. I just wrote a prompt, and it just floods the stuff back. So it's kind of the quickening, when we were doing email and stuff, you used to have to write a letter.
Mm-hmm.
It took some time. You put a stamp on it, it went to one person.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can have an email list of 100,000 people and then send out a broadcast, and it goes out to 100,000 people in seconds. And if there's 100,000 people doing that same technique, somebody gets overwhelmed with 100,000 emails, and then they quit just quit answering their email,
Yeah.
or they opt in with fake email addresses so that they don't get pestered with propaganda and spam.
Right.
Like I've got somebody that I wanted to communicate with, and they opted out of one of my databases,
Mm-hmm.
so I cannot contact them now because they opted out. Yet I wanted to hire them for my event, but I can't connect with them. I mean, I could probably dig up their phone number and give them a call and stuff. So I don't think it's good. I think it artificially blocks people from communication.
Yeah. So They opted out, and now you can't connect with them at all?
I could if I like sent them a direct email from Gmail or something, or like a single email.
Right.
But I can't on that HubSpot platform because HubSpot's protecting people.
Right.
Yep.
So you don't have the direct email address for them then. That was your contact is through the HubSpot.
Sure, but I could grab the email out of there and put it in a different piece of software.
Oh, okay.
So then it would allow me to do it.
Okay. So you can
like if
still
someone,
hire them then.
Yeah, I still could get them, but my point is it's harder to communicate.
Yeah.
The cancel culture kind of stuff. And like the reason I'm here today is because I was declined from going to that speaker showcase.
Yeah.
And they looked at me and they saw me as a magician and speaker.
Uh-huh.
This thing was for event planners. I'm an event planner. But they said, no, we can't have you come because you're a magician and a speaker, and it's by invitation only for our speakers. So they would not let me go.
That's kind of weird.
It is. And I wanted to find speakers for my event that I'm doing in 2026. So they blocked me or declined my invitation.
It sounds like they declined your invitation without actually knowing who they were dealing with.
Well, it does say that on, well, this came from my Synergy event marketing website.
Yeah.
But there's also a link on there. They might have just known me too, because I'm out there.
Sure.
So, and they just assume with someone with the nickname of Magic Brad, he's probably a magician.
Well, yeah, but if they know you, then they would know that you actually do far more in the event planning industry than you do as far as even doing.
I haven't done a gig for years.
Well, it's
now
true.
And then, once in a while, but rarely. I'm not out gigging anymore.
Exactly.
So they're incorrect in their assumption.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of funny.
But that's kind of my take on the expedition. Is that a word? Expedition? Expedite?
Mm-hmm.
Using AI to do things.
Sure.
They probably didn't really look deep because they're busy because they had to get planned for this thing today.
Mm-hmm.
So they're probably just busy and they just looked and, oh, no, he's a magician. It says right here. We don't need him.
Yeah. And then, of course, there was no time for you to contact them.
Well, I did email back and forth, but they said that we're going to refund your money and just respond to this email and validate that you will not be coming tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. See, I would have replied and been like, yeah, I don't understand why you're denying me. You clearly don't know who I am.
Well, that's what I did. I said, I'm registering as a planner. And then I put my little logo for the Event Planners Expo on there, the little banner that says Event Planners and Suppliers Expo. They might have just read it wrong, but no big deal. But it's that kind of stuff that's really weird. I mean, granted, we don't like those solicitors, telemarketers calling us at dinner, and we don't like people knocking on our door when we're trying to spend time with our family.
It's so hard to market now. We're so inundated with constant marketing in every single area of life that when we get the chance to cut it out, sometimes we don't even listen. We're just like, no, done.
There's an event coming up. I think it's next week. These guys are going to talk about how to market to AI.
Okay, that's even funnier.
Yeah, but you have to take that into consideration. How are you going to write your stuff? Because someone's going to probably use AI and ask about something. And what are you putting out on the internet so that when AI comes to find that data, is it correct?
Well, I can tell you this, in the resume world, it sucks. So like if you're applying for a job, there's algorithms that are out there. Well, now the algorithms are more AI, right? And you put out your resume out there, and unless it's in a very specific format and a very specific way, the AI doesn't read it correctly.
Kind of like how Google reads titles and H1 and H2.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So resumes are much harder now. Like getting your resume actually seen is much harder now. You can get it out there, and these bots are going to source it, and they take the tens of thousands of people who apply for jobs, right? Which it's really not that much. I mean, that's what everybody says it is, but it's really not that much. It's like you could get 2,000 applicants, but even still, it takes it all, and then it goes and it shrinks it down to your top 100. But how does it know what those top 100 are? It's not a person.
No, it just kind of guesses.
It guesses. That's exactly it. Artificial intelligence, the AI, is not actually intelligent. The AI that we have now is not actually artificially intelligent. I don't actually even like the name.
Do they call it artificial
People are calling
ignorance? Artificial ignorance?
it. That's funny. But yeah, I don't like the name of it. I don't like how things are called AI like that, because it's not true. It's not what it is.
No, it's not. It's just kind of sorting through and grabbing data and saying, okay, you got that right word. I remember years ago there was.
I'm gonna grab my tea.
Okay, grab it. You got your cord there.
I know.
Don't want you to fall over. He's getting his tea. It's tea break.
I totally forgot to grab my tea. I had my tea all ready to go, and then we went on. I checked my phone. I'm being distracted by things.
See how that happens?
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
There's another thing. There's another thing I was just thinking about with that. I can't remember what it is. But with that exact same thing of using, I mean, like graphic design now, these poor graphic designers that used to know what they were doing, now you can just go onto Canva and find something that looks kind of cool and just change the words and look pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Canva's nice. It's really nice, but I mean, I worked with a few people on doing visual identity and design. And when we're doing that, it's basically like branding, except that we're dealing with look, sound, and feel. And essentially, so like Canva is one of the things that we use, but we don't use it for the final product usually. We use that, it's again, designed for the look, sound, and feel. So we have a process that we go through where we talk to people and we go through personality assessments with them, and then we do like a personality assessment for the business. And so we try to see like if the business was a person, what would it be like?
Right.
So it all depends. Like if it's just one person running the business is probably going to be like them. If it's like, there's a lot of businesses though that don't match the personality of the person who wants to have that business, right? So there's that to take into account. And while you're doing that and you start running through and you're handling all of that, you come up with like keywords. And that's where Canva, I think, is actually the most helpful, is because you can take those keywords, plug them into Canva. Canva is going to get you a bunch of looks, visuals, right, that go with those keywords. And then we pull it out and we put it into a mood board. And that mood board, that's when things really get interesting. Is because once you get into that mood board, if that mood board is actually effective, and then your keywords are effective. If all of the stuff that you've been plugging in all along with us and all the things that we've been talking to you about are not effective, then your mood board's not going to make sense. So that's when you know if you've got it. If you go in there and you create a mood board and you create that mood board in Canva, and if that mood board actually expresses what it is that your business should be expressing, then you're golden.
So like if you're branding for an owner operator, you're kind of grabbing the personality of that person. Or if you're branding for a big corporation, you're branding for their mission and vision of the company, the culture of the company.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we haven't really done large corporations, but we've done a lot of smaller businesses. There's a gentleman that we were working with that did soul food. So he had a soul food bakery. So it was specifically treats and pies and stuff like that were that were very deep South. So like sweet potato pie, things like that. That stuff is good. So anyways, so yeah, he had all of that all plugged in there, and he was talking to us about what it was, how he wants the business to feel, and then his own personality. And he goes through that whole personality assessment. Well, through that, we come up with these keywords, and then I plug them in to this this mood board based on that. And then we go through the mood board and we go, okay, well, this is how it should look. This is how it should sound. And this is how it should feel. And we go through that. And if they look at that mood board, they go, oh, yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Then we know we hit the nail on the head. And AI does come into that. But Canva is really, the AI only comes in a little bit at that point. But the Canva has like a little AI thing in there where we can type in things and it'll custom create little pictures specifically for what it is that we're talking about. It'll cycle through.
Yeah, some of that stuff is kind of good for expediting things, getting things done fast.
It is. It shortens it. It's like having another worker. It's like having another worker who is capable of doing copy editing, but they're not creative. Everybody thinks that AI is like super creative. I have not seen AI that is super creative. I have seen people that are really creative in how they communicate with the AI for the AI to actually create something. I've seen that, but the AI itself is not creative. That's not something I've seen. And that's where it's really interesting because again, going back to Canva, it's incredibly helpful, but it doesn't replace a graphics designer.
No, it's like
we have a graphics designer we hire after that point.
It's like having somebody do branding for Sybil.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, that is one of the first cases of multiple personality disorder.
Yeah.
Well documented. And she lived a really, really, really hard life.
Yeah, maybe I didn't realize that some people probably wouldn't understand who Sybil is.
Oh, there's lots of people who aren't going to understand that.
Yeah.
That's a reference that anybody who is interested in psychology, who's especially a little bit older, is really going to get, because basically multiple personality disorder was a theory for a long time, and they ran into people and they were like, oh, this person must have multiple personality disorder, but they didn't really believe it until they ran into Sybil. And Sybil was so disassociated with all of her different personalities that one personality would have a bunch of knowledge that the other personality didn't, and it was
right.
Shocking. So they actually had it was well documented.
So some of the personalities are suppressing information. It's probably still there, but they don't know how to express it.
Right. But some of them had like knowledge of like that you wouldn't expect too. Like, because Sybil had like over 100 personalities. But some of the personalities were like old dudes.
I can see how that...
And they would have a whole bunch of information, like as though they lived a long life.
I mean, I act differently with my friend out in LA versus my friend I've known since I was 4, versus if I'm with somebody I never met, versus if I'm comfortable with somebody. I have a different personality.
Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of like that, but not 100.
Right. Yeah, the Sybil situation is it's a really weird, well-documented case. So if you are into psychology at all, then I would definitely look up Sybil if you weren't familiar with it.
Well, sort of on that topic, you got the older generation that doesn't know about Sybil. I'm somewhat interested in the younger generation and how they communicate these days. Excuse me, I'm just terrible.
Yeah, I've been hearing that the platforms are shifting again.
Well, I would hope so. I mean, when I was a kid, the words were groovy, neat, and cool. And now it's the bomb. Even that's kind of like
Well,
obsolete.
wait, no, hold on.
Or
Yeah,
dope,
that's from the 90s.
dope,
You've only gotten to the 90s.
dope.
You haven't heard the new ones like, skibbity and
No. Hipster.
yeah, like
Instead
no
of
cap and
instead
all
of
that kind of stuff.
yeah. And then what's the other one?
Well, it's not the other one. It's the other like hundreds. There's literally a translator now for adults to be able to understand Gen Alpha. Like, here, I'll pull it up. Gen
You're going to school.
Alpha slang. So they say Sigma, which is a term used to describe someone who is cool or good.
Or sick.
No, you're back in the 90s again.
I am?
Yes. You're like 40 years out of date, man. Yeah,
Sick?
so
I thought sick was recent.
no, I mean people still say it, but yeah, no, not really. So
But cool has stood the test of time.
beta actually still means what beta has always meant, which is the term to describe somebody who is weak. But that's still pretty. But skibbity is a nonsense word that can mean cool, bad, or dumb, depending on the context. So I don't know. That's kind of how we used fuck back in the day. I mean, seriously, that's fucking cool, man. Like it was used as an exclamator that would change words. But anyway, skibbity it comes from a meme. It's skibbity toilet, and it's toilet. Yeah. So it's
Well, the reason I brought it up is because I'm about
Yeah.
to do these events, and events have just changed so much. I'm looking to get connected with younger generation folks. I can pass on what knowledge I've got, but I'm thinking that you guys could steer the boat
yeah.
because it's a different world.
You're still looking for somebody to work with, aren't you?
Yes,
Yeah. You want
Multiple-
somebody who's younger to
multiple
mentor,
people.
right?
multiple people. Well, I think it might be the other way around. They might be mentoring me. to
Well, I
understand what's
mean,
going
you
on.
have a business that you did successfully run for many years, and it's just changed quite a bit since COVID.
Yeah.
And you're trying to rework things in the post-COVID kind of atmosphere. So you do need somebody who's probably a millennial or something like that
Yeah,
to
I need
mentor
to-
a little bit so they can help you run it in the new markets, and you could help them by giving them a very solid understanding of how an industry works.
Yeah, because sometimes I go to these events and someone says, "Hey, you should go to this BNI event,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, "I've been there, done that, and it's not really the market." Whereas this thing that I was declined to go to,
Yeah.
the people in the room were event planners. I
That
don't
was
know
your
if they were
market.
all corporate, and so were the suppliers, the speakers. That was my market. That's who I wanted to communicate with. The whole room is the right people.
Right.
So, like as an example, I joined the Minneapolis Convention and Visitors Bureau
Yep.
Association, whatever they call it nowadays. It's called Meet Minneapolis now. And with that, I get a calendar of upcoming events of conferences that are coming to the Minneapolis area about 7 to 10 years out. So I know when, I don't know, Pepsi-Cola is coming to the Twin Cities, or when the Super Bowl's happening, or Final Four, or whatever is happening and coming here. I remember years back, the Alcoholics Anonymous International
Yep.
was coming to Minneapolis.
Yep.
And there were thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of alcoholics coming to Twin Cities.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an entrepreneurial idea to put up coffee carts and cigarette carts on the mall.
Yep. It would
Would
work.
have been good.
It would work.
But I don't know if the younger generation knows that book is available and how easy it is to get access to.
Mm-hmm.
So things like that. I mean, if a person wants to do a Woodstock type festival with the new age kids, there's the Minnesota Festivals and Events Association. Those people will teach you how to do all that, and
Yep.
the insurance you need to have, and weather protection, and rules and blocking off roads and all that stuff that's got to happen. Those people will tell you how to do that rather than trying to figure it out on your own.
Right.
I wonder if the younger generation says, we don't care. We're just going to throw a couple of cars in the street. And what are they going to do?
He is looking for somebody local, though.
Yes, I am.
So, yeah, you have to live close enough that you could actually go do some of this stuff. You can't just be like, oh, yeah, I'm from Florida and I'm going to start learning how to do it out there, because there's certain things that you want to be knowledgeable about the local area, so that way you can contact and market and do things like that.
I am open to talking to anybody, though.
Yeah.
If they're prefer the United States, maybe Canada.
Yeah. Once you get outside of that, the industry is going to be so different that
the cultures and stuff is different. And I don't know if I can trust somebody that's from Sri Lanka or something. I need somebody that's close to home where I can go talk to them.
They might start trying to send you, whole boxes of money because the prince needs
to
transport his finances.
Oh, I'm sneezing.
People fall into that scheme all the time, man. I still hear about it all the time because it still works. It's so weird how much it works.
The thing is, there's software that these hackers come up with that basically go out and scrape the internet for anything with an @ symbol in it, which is an email address. And they just get all sorts of emails. So if your email is out there anywhere, which it probably is, and then they got software that just starts blasting stuff out, and you get all stuff about your U.S. bank account has been seized, and the government wants to get you owe this in back taxes, and
your Facebook account is about to be deleted.
Your Facebook account is going to all that stuff. There's so much of it, and I can see how people will fall into it because they get an email and they think. My suggestion is never go from the email. Always go, if somebody says your PayPal account was hacked, go to PayPal. Go up on the internet and go to PayPal and find out it's been hacked.
Yeah.
Don't click that link in your email.
Yeah, don't use that link.
Especially if it was sent from a Gmail address.
Right.
And the name doesn't match the email.
Automatically ignore it if that's the case. Just send it to spam. Like the domain name. So here's the thing. If Facebook is going to delete your account, they're not going to send you a message from some random person. It's going to be sent from Facebook.
Well, there's ways of making it look like it was Facebook. I'll tell you a quick little story.
But it won't look like. It will actually be sent by Facebook. Like everything will match.
Well, here's an interesting thing that I saw. Remember MySpace?
Mm-hmm.
I saw and I got an email from somebody that had their name and it said myspace.com on it. But what it really was the M consisted of a R and an N and a Y. So it looked like MySpace, but it wasn't an M.
That's clever.
Yeah. So the hackers will do that kind of stuff. And I've also got stuff where there's an 800 number or whatever, and you call the studio and they answer, yeah, so-and-so agency. Yeah, is Steve there? Because he sent me an email. Oh, Steve's down at our Dallas office. Let me forward you. Mm-hmm. And you're talking to real people. But there's a delay. Why is there a delay? Because they're in India or someplace. Somewhere far, far away. No, you got to be careful with all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
There's so much of it. I don't.
Especially with the AI now. I mean, think about it. The AI is capable of mimicking human voices at this point, and it's getting crazy good at it. It's it's really good. I actually did it on myself. I went out there and I went to an AI program, and I had it record my my voice, and then I typed in what I wanted it to say.
Yeah,
it sounded like me.
I did that with a still photo, and they turned it into a video.
Oh, geez, see?
I used a still photo and then put in what I wanted it to say, and it looked like I was saying it. I had 6 fingers, but no, I'm just kidding.
Actually, that wouldn't surprise me. AI has a really hard time with hands.
Because of aliens, probably.
I don't know, but the AI has a really hard time with hands. There's something about the algorithm. So most of the things that create art, have a hard time with hands. Not all of them do, but most of them do.
I wonder why that is. Why they just didn't say there's 5 digits on a hand and program that into the AI.
I don't know, but think about it. Artists, that's actually one of the hardest things for artists too, is hands. So it doesn't surprise me. It's something about drawing hands that somehow the human brain has a harder time understanding, like how to draw that as well. So how to turn it into a drawing. So if you're having a hard time turning it into a drawing, why wouldn't an artificially intelligent thing that's actually really
because it wasn't
not very
programmed
intelligent?
properly.
Right.
No.
So it's kind of weird, but it's true.
I don't know. I might be old school too, because
I make lines for the bones, and then after I identify the bones, I identify the knuckles by making little circles.
You draw?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. I learned. I'm not good. I'm terrible. I think my 10-year-old.
That is a little bit.
I think my 11-year-old draws better than I do. Yeah, I'm not very good at that. However, if you gave me an easel with some drafting equipment, I could mock up plans for anything.
Did you do that?
I've done drafting, yeah.
Like with a table and a T-square or a.
I took several classes on drafting. I'm actually pretty good at it, doing it manually.
I did that too.
Yeah.
I went to school to learn electromechanical drafting and design because I didn't want to do architecture. And I wanted to do nuts and bolts. And then I ended up getting jobs fixing engineering change orders for printed circuit boards. Boring.
Yeah, I didn't go to school for it, but I did take classes at my high school for it. I took several classes at my high school, and then from there I just kind of did it myself. But I knew where the industry was going back then. I saw it and I was like, nobody's going to be doing this by hand in 5 years.
No.
And I knew it. And I totally knew it. I'm like, nobody's going to be doing this by hand in 5 years. And I said, I do not want to be doing it at a computer. What I like about this is the manual drawing of it and planning it all out and doing and stretching across a big piece of paper and making
I did a year
my own blueprints.
School at Minneapolis drafting school, and the CAD stuff was just coming in.
Yeah.
And they said, this is going to change everything. And it does. It's like.
It did. But now I don't find it fun.
No, it's just, hey, draw me a scale drawing of a Tesla that's being pulled by horses.
I do want to learn CAD though. I never took the time to learn CAD, and I do actually want to take the time to learn CAD now because I'm finding that it's useful for a bunch of other things.
Well, my brother works at a place that does these big giant steel I-beams and cuts holes and stuff and cuts little notches so the I-beams can fit. And basically he just sits there and plugs all this stuff into the little keyboard and pushes a button, and a big crane comes and grabs the I-beam and lifts it up and brings it over to the high pressure torch thing and cuts little holes, and he just sits and watches it until it's done. Yeah,
it's all machine done. It's like, a lot of people are like, well, why didn't you continue doing stuff with welding? That's why. I'm like, welding, you could still be a career, but like, for the most part, like, it's an uncomfortable job. It's a really uncomfortable job. You're dealing with you're like crawling into really cramped spaces, and you're doing a whole bunch of stuff like that where it's not exactly super.
Would you ever want to dive and do welding underneath the water?
I did, until I found out how little they pay them.
Really? I thought they paid a lot because of this hazardous.
That was originally the way that I was told about it, is that the pay was really high. And then I started searching into it, and apparently a lot of people were going into underwater welding at the time. So I'll give you an example. A diver that works for a nuclear facility that has to dive into nuclear wastewater and go weld and repair things, because it breaks down really fast in nuclear wastewater, right? And they have to weld and do things underwater in that kind of environment. They only make like $80,000 a year.
Jesus. They only work a couple of years and they're dead.
Well, no, they wear big suits and stuff that protect them from the suit, but they have to get tested constantly. And usually they end up sterile.
I suppose.
At some point they end up sterile.
Not my idea of fun.
No, it's not my idea of fun either. I mean, I was looking at jobs for underwater welders, and basically unless you work for an oil rig, you don't make very much money.
I wouldn't want to do that either, being out on that boat for months at a time.
Yeah, exactly. The oil riggers, the underwater welders for oil rigs make bank. They make like $150 an hour. And whenever they go out, literally when you get picked up, they don't always have an underwater welder out there because they have to pay them so much. But when you go out, because I mean, there's a lot of things that are dangerous on these oil rigs, and you have to like understand like all these safety things and everything else. But they come out, they pick you up, and then from the point they pick you up, you begin to clock time, and they pay you like $75 an hour until you are ready to take your dive. And then when you take your dive, it goes up to $150 an hour.
Aha.
Yeah. So it's pretty good pay. So I mean, that's just an example. I mean, obviously not every single job's the same, but that's pretty typical for oil rig welders.
I don't think I'd want to do it.
I mean, I clearly didn't want to because I'm not there, right? So I wouldn't have minded going that direction, but the diving classes and everything else that I would have to take were a little bit out of my financial reach, and they weren't offering any financial aid. And there was
You
no
mean
loans.
Specialized classes, or are you
Specialized classes?
Are you already a diver?
Well, I was already a welder, and then I had to get certified in diving too, and diving school and all that kind of stuff. At the time I was looking, there was no funding for it. There was no funding for it, and there was no loans for it.
Okay.
You couldn't just take a loan and go do it. It was not something that they saw that was like had a good ROI, is the way that a lot of places looked at it. So they didn't offer student loans for it or anything like that.
Yeah. I looked into diving, and then I just realized that when you get down so far, it's freaking cold. So you should wear one of those suits. You don't get too cold. And the idea of imploding if you came up too fast, I just decided I didn't want to do it.
Well, you explode if you go up too fast. You implode if you go down too fast.
Yeah, something like that. What goes up must come down, right?
Yeah, I totally, the way that I was going to do it, and this was my plan to do the underwater welding, right? The way that I was going to do it is I was going to join the Navy and then just go through buds and do like SEAL training and stuff like that. And that's how I was going to get into underwater welding, because I would get certified and everything going that direction.
Yeah, that'd be a
But
way.
I got sick whenever I was 17.
So and then you could get paid like $7 an hour and get trained.
Right.
Exactly.
But the training is top notch, and then you know how to do everything you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
And you get, classifications and all kinds of stuff.
Unless you had to go to war. Now they don't really need welders anymore.
They still use them. That's actually one of the things that underwater welding is one of the things that you could do in UDT. That's the Underwater Demolitions Team. So they do train, like, that's one of the positions that you could have. It's one of the non-wartime positions you could have as like a Navy SEAL, but they also use them on shipboard. So yeah, because the UDT uses them, and there's a whole bunch of other ones, because UDT usually is dealing with like mines and things like that. Well, the mines are kept on the floor with chains usually, right? Big weights and chains. You can cut the chains, and they go to the surface, and then you can explode them on the surface. It's no big deal. Then the subs are safe.
No big deal.
The subs can get through. But yeah, they have really cool things. Like there's a couple of like like really cool devices for underwater welders. They have one that you hold on to, and it's almost like, like it's like a prop that you're holding, and that starts dragging you through the water. I've gotten to play with those. Those are really fun. And then they have ones that are like single man subs, basically.
I've seen those before.
You swim underneath them, and then you kind of snorkel, and you come up underneath, and it has pressurized air in here, right? And so you still have on your tank and everything else, but it has like pressurized air. So then you can go down, and you're going along, and you can like stop it, and then get out and go swim and do whatever you need to do, and then get back in it, and then go off. So they use it for like
Did you ever
underwater.
see that movie
underwater
where
welding.
they somehow figured out how humans can breathe water to get oxygen out of the water?
Yes, I know exactly what movie you're talking
Yeah,
about.
there was a movie like that.
Yes. God, what was
Was it The Abyss?
I think it was The Abyss. It could have been The Abyss. It could have been one of the other ones that were like it. But yeah, they had liquid oxygen, and they would fill up the suits with this pink fluid, liquid oxygen.
Yeah, and it was just a shock at first, and then they were fine.
Yeah, apparently that is a theory that's been out there for a long time, that they actually have something like that, and they've been trying to do something like that. But it's not a thing. Like,
it's a theory.
Yeah, you can't actually breathe the liquid. They do have some really fascinating stuff that's out there though for extreme deep dives.
Like what?
Well, suits where they pressurize it with liquid, and in order to be able to dive down deeper, and then it has like this special fluid that's in the liquid, and then they mix your oxygen you're breathing is included in that, and you're supposed to they fill this liquid in like various different cavities.
The whole ocean thing
really
is
weird.
kind of a fascinating topic. I've got a friend of mine that I'm going to be talking to. She's got a company called Dive One, and they take people out on all these excursions and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
And but just the idea that there's so much water on the planet, and the stuff is moving around, it's down far. We haven't seen nothing.
We don't. Yeah, most of the planet is covered in water.
And there's all sorts of eels. And
imagine what it was like during the Ice Age, where they had the giant mile-high ice walls up here in Minnesota, like just north of us, is where those giant ice walls were. Huge, massive ice walls that were here. Imagine how interesting it would have been to live during that time frame, because a lot of the water was frozen. So there was still a ton of land mass. There was actually more land mass than there is now, even though that from here up it was basically frozen, and it was the equal on going down south. It was the equivalent. But in the middle it was all temperate. So like it felt more temperate than it is now. It just, Do
you think there's the same amount of water / ice / humidity that there's always been on the planet?
Well, the evidence, the science says no, that we get hit by ice comets every once in a while. Comets that have ice in it.
So it adds to it.
We're not really losing any, because, water is basically made up of hydrogen and oxygen, which hydrogen and oxygen split, and then hydrogen and oxygen come back together as well. And contrary to some of the popular belief about how the way that hydrogen has worked with the sun and all that kind of stuff, we've thought before that maybe we would lose some hydrogen over time. We've actually found molecules on the planet now that are actually chemically, they're plasma molecules that come directly from the sun, that there's almost like they have micro wormholes that are getting created between us and the sun because of the gravitational bodies, and that it actually is transporting molecules from the sun to the earth, like that, like
You
lickety
mean
split.
through a wormhole?
Through micro wormholes. Yeah, they discovered this back in,
That's
I think it
wild.
was like 2012 maybe, I want to say.
That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was during an experiment they found it. And there was another experiment that they haven't, well, at least as of count at the time, had not been able to duplicate. And they were sending photons, and they would send it through these triangular devices to be able to read it. And they would measure the photons as they were going. Well, it's supposed to go at the speed of light, right? It's a photon, it's light, it's supposed to go at the speed of light. It arrived at the far...
That's you.
Yeah, sorry about that. It arrived at the far point before it should have, which means that it actually was going faster than the speed of light. And they were like, that shouldn't be possible. The theory is that it actually went through one of those micro wormholes, popped through it, and it actually made it like disappear from here and appear to here, which shortened the distance. That's the theory, but they were not able to duplicate it because these micro wormholes that they've been discovering of, the solar, these solar molecules in the atmosphere, that it basically, it's random the way that it pops up. Of course, we're going to find out in the long run it's not really random, that there's certain laws and everything that go into it. But I mean,
Could it be
when
planned?
we originally find it all out, we don't know. We don't understand.
Could it be planned? Premeditated?
You mean, can they do it on purpose?
Yeah.
I don't think so as of yet. They also found a really cool, another really cool thing that I was just reading about, and unfortunately, I only skimmed it, so I don't understand the full ramifications to science that it's going to make. But astronomically, there are these hot gaseous spots, and we happen to be in one. And if you get outside of the solar gravitational field and stuff like that, like temperatures in these hot gaseous spots can actually approach like 1,000,000 degrees. Like they're super, 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 super hot. And that's why suns are forming in these areas and everything else, right? So anyhow, what they found is that there's almost like a wormhole structure that actually ties different points in these galactic bodies together. So it's not quite like a wormhole, but it's basically, they're tunnels that are made in these hot gaseous atmosphere. It's the reason why we exist in one of those bubbles.
Is it only the sun, or is it elsewhere, all over?
Oh, this is all over. We're talking about in the galaxy as a whole. There's
so
like
it could end up being on purpose, done with intention.
Either that, or here's another way to look at it. So we're made up, if you think about the way that the body is, there's veins that transport things from one spot to another, and then each spot has its own like stable body, and we're like one of those stable bodies, right? And then it has a tunnel that goes from one spot to another. That eerily sounds like the way that a body works. Who knows? Maybe in the long run, we find out we're actually just inside the body of a giant, huge creature.
Yeah, as above, so below kind of thing.
Yeah.
The microcosm equals the macrocosm.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it really, if there are far more far-fetched things that are out there that it would not, that one would be like, oh, that's bizarre. I wonder if we can communicate with this giant entity.
Well, it's kind of weird, like the law of attraction kind of stuff, where you set out an intention and you can't be wanting it, because then you're wanting it and it never shows up. So you have to actually believe it's there, and you have to trick yourself, and you're competing against you're having a conflict with your consciousness, with your subconscious limiting beliefs from childhood programming. You got to get rid of that somehow. So then you believe it, and then the stuff manifests. So, heck, it's not too far that Elon Musk could go to Mars just by going through a wormhole.
Well, the whole Mars thing, yeah, I haven't read the full article yet, but the whole Elon Musk in the Mars mission thing, from what I'm understanding, has been put on a little bit more of a hold. So, because originally they had the date set and they were going to go at a certain point and everything else, and there's some kind of hold that ended up happening due to something that was going on. Yeah, I mean, he's working on it.
Well, that's what I mean. Maybe we don't need those ships. Maybe we could just go through a wormhole.
Right. I mean, we could, in theory, we could get inside an object. I don't know if we could survive the stresses of traveling through a wormhole, like just in our physical form, but who knows? But, you know, you could just make like a little car or something and drive through one of them. Who knows?
What if that was all?
It could be like Stargate SG-1.
What if that was all included in your intention?
Yeah.
To be able to go through with your physical form and be able to survive in Mars' atmosphere.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. It could be like Stargate.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. Like, have you ever seen Stargate?
No.
Stargate is awesome. I love that show. It's one of my favorite sci-fi shows. Yeah, so
I might have seen some.
Stargate was a movie, and then they made Stargate SG-1, which was a series that was based on the concepts in the movie. And it's really fascinating. So basically, they end up finding on the planet, there's two gates that we find on the planet. One is in like Siberia, and the other one was somewhere in the United States. And when they found these structures, they found it was extraterrestrial in nature, and there was big things, and they put them back together and they repaired it. And they were trying to figure out how it worked, and it was all written in hieroglyphics. And so they started looking at it and trying to figure out how it worked based on the instructions that were in the hieroglyphics. And they found out that they can dial in, that it was actually a gate to the stars, and that they could dial in another location by plugging in various different symbols into it, and they could take them to other places in the galaxy. And so it worked by having gates on two sides and then creating a wormhole between them, and then they would just walk through. So they started exploring the universe that way, and ended up running into the originators of the whole idea that the Egyptians were gods and everything else. And they're a race called the Goa'uld, and they're a little parasitic race. So they're these little worms that would go into you and take over your body.
Ew.
And they would take over your mind, and they would have psychic powers, and
see, that's not too far.
They would use high technology to be able to like lift things.
If this young, sick generation is is believing all that stuff, then they'd be able to do all that. Yeah,
no cap, man. Going back to the weird slang from earlier.
No cap.
I'm being a dork on purpose. Like,
that means unlimited.
No, it means no lie.
No cap? No lie?
It means no lie. Alphas are weird. Gen alphas are weird.
What's the cap?
Cap. We looked it up earlier, remember?
I know, but
Let's see. Where is it?
You said it means no lie.
Yeah.
I would think that no cap would mean unlimited. There's no cap on anything.
No. Cap is lie. Let me see. I know it's in here because it's a big one that they say. Same with like Riz. They say all kinds of mewing. It's another weird one. Cap is a lie or something that is not true. So no cap means that it's truthful or you're not lying. I don't understand why they created it the way that they do. They just do.
I don't get it.
The Gen Alpha has some weird ones, man.
Well, did groovy come from being like in a record groove?
Groovy comes from like the That's a good question. Groovy came out of the 1960s is what a lot of people say, but I don't think it did. I think it actually came out of the 1950s. But it still could be a record groove.
That's what I would think.
Yeah.
You're uptight, out of sight, and in the groove.
Yeah. Yeah, that could totally be. Well, I mean, that explains the bomb, right? I mean, that came out of late 80s, early 90s. And at the time, there was a lot of atomic testing done in the world. So if it's the bomb, that's the big one.
Yeah, it's too bad that it got to be sick and the bomb.
Well, sick is not sick, S-I-C-K. Sick is S-I-C.
Which means what?
Seek? Yeah, I'm
Sick?
wondering if it came from something. I just don't know what it came from, because it's not that sick, man, as in like that's gonna make you throw up. I know.
And like
So,
funny
like,
was stupid. If so, like I remember seeing these people at a comedy club, and they would say he's stupid. Means he's funny.
like that's a weird one.
I know.
That's obviously a regional thing. We didn't use that
It was out when I
on the
was in
West
LA.
Coast. Oh, it was in LA?
Yeah, yep. There was Wacky Wednesdays. There was doing a comedy thing in North Hollywood on Lancashire.
Huh.
And there was this chick that did Wacky Wednesdays.
I never run into that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haha Club.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I used to hang out there, and there's I can't remember the guy that owned it, but he's an Armenian guy. And I was helping promote it, and I brought in a big group of singles.
Mm-hmm.
There was like 30 people there, but he didn't want to pay me any commission off of it. He said it's not good luck if you pay it right away before it comes in. So he didn't want to pay for it. Bullshit, I'm telling you.
You were like, last time I helped you.
Pretty much. People are funny. What the hell time is it? Oh my God, we got 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Cuatro.
Yeah. I'm low energy today, or have been for the last week.
Yeah. Yeah, you were saying that. You said you fell asleep too early, and
I do, because I'm bored.
yeah.
Just sitting around, and I just go to, like, what I do is I got an iPad.
Yep.
So I lay in bed and I watch videos and do stuff on my iPad, and I doze off, and the iPad sits on my chest for a while, and I wake back up. This morning I woke up at 12:30. Midnight.
Yeah. That's rough.
Hey, what did Elizabeth say about the comedy sports?
She liked it.
Yeah, it was kind of
She
fun.
had fun. Yeah.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
They got a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
They did a bit where we come up with some topics, and then the other side kind of does charades to figure it out. And they can't talk. They just do stuff. And it was amazing how that person would figure out what the hell it meant through their just actions and stuff.
Yeah.
And they'd get right on. It's bizarre.
That's funny. Yeah. That's interesting.
Improv's an art.
Absolutely. Yeah. Elizabeth is interested in doing some improv. She's funny. My wife happens to actually be very funny, and not everybody gets to see that side of her because she's almost always working and she's busy, and they just don't get to see it. But she's actually she's got this like weird kind of almost sarcastic sense of humor.
She had
that
asked
goes over people's heads.
Asked Doug over there at Comedy Sports about that, if there was classes. And I think they
Yeah.
got classes, but Doug didn't mention the classes. He actually sent them to Stevie Ray's down in Chanhassen.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think he does classes. Why wouldn't he do classes?
Right.
Especially if you got people that want to do it. You can do private classes.
Right.
Don't say no.
Right. Well, there you go. He didn't want the business, clearly. Yeah. But yeah, I know Elizabeth wants to do that. Elizabeth has been thinking for a while she wants to do some stand-up comedy.
I'd go with her.
Yeah.
It's
she wants to actually perform some stand-up comedy.
Yeah, just go to the open mics and
yeah.
Just get up and do it.
Yeah, she wants to write a skit first.
A one-woman show?
Yeah, she wants to do like a little she wants to like actually do an actual like show for it, like actually write a set.
She should just go and try it and see if she likes it.
Yeah.
That's how Howie Mandel got started up in Canada. He was on a bet. He was at a club and they said, "Hey, would you go up there?" And he did. And he liked it. And that's how he got into it. I did 3 minutes at the Comedy Store in LA, which was the longest 3 minutes of my life.
You didn't like it?
Well, I got booted a whole because in LA, anybody that walks in, if all of a sudden Robin Williams walks in, he's going to get priority, you know?
Right.
Get his
Yep,
station.
it's true.
So I got there at 4:00 in the afternoon because they said get there early and get signed up.
Yep.
They didn't really start signing up till 6, but I got there early. And then I got booted and booted and booted and booted and booted. Keep on down the road, and I didn't get up till about 2 a.m.
Oof.
And everybody's like gone. You know?
Yeah.
And it was just me, and there's a comic up in front that was heckling the hell out of me. It was horrible. I was just talking to one guy for 3 minutes. But I did it. Comedy Store.
That's funny. Yeah.
Like
it's pretty interesting. And LA is a very interesting atmosphere for comedians.
And actors and actresses. It's a whole nother world. It's a big pretentious world. And usually people have that stuff because they need therapy. You know, there's something wrong with them. That's why they're funny.
Yeah. It is a very different world. Yeah, growing up there is really interesting because you hear about all these people who want to move to LA to like go find, fame. And, growing up there, you meet those people who are trying to make it. Everybody wants to make it. It's really true.
It's very competitive.
There's always somebody there who's
very cutthroat.
I'm an actress. Really? What have you been in? Oh, well, I work at the local diner while I'm trying to get in.
That's right. Or they got a gig and they got $20,000 and they thought, cool, they buy a Beamer, and then they don't get any gigs, and pretty soon rent's due. And now they got to do something else, so they're out hooking on Hollywood Boulevard.
That happens a lot.
And there's a lot of predators too.
So many predators there.
The agents that'll say, "Hey, get your photo, your headshot's done, and all that.
Yeah,
$99," and they give you this bullshit.
Yeah,
profile. You need to have something like this when you go give it agencies.
There's a lot of sexual predators in it too. So like people who want to make it, they end up going over there, and then they end up getting abused, and then they end up hooking on Hollywood Boulevard because they were abused. Yeah. So yeah, it's not a friendly environment.
Where were you?
Oh my God.
Your city where you grew up. Where were you?
Norwalk.
Where is that?
Norwalk and Santa Fe Springs. It's basically, what is it, the 110?
Okay. What are some other cities?
The 105. It's the 105. That's what it is.
What are some other cities that are by there? Bigger cities.
Where
is it next to Pasadena?
Norwalk's not. It's close to Pasadena.
Is it?
Yeah, it's within 10 minutes.
What's that other one?
I mean, I could get on my rollerblades in Norwalk and rollerblade at the beach. I could rollerblade anywhere I wanted to. It was fun. I could go to Pasadena if I wanted to.
Santa Monica?
Santa Monica would be a bit far. I mean, I could, but it'd be far. That'd be rough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But right in Hollywood.
But yeah, I mean, I could definitely get to Pasadena or Anaheim. Like Anaheim, I could get to Anaheim.
Isn't that more south?
Southwest. I was east of Long Beach.
Because Pasadena's up by Glendale, right? Isn't that there's a freeway there?
I haven't lived there for 22 years. So.
Well, there's where I was Covina, Glendora. So West Covina. And then you go west, and there's Pasadena, then Glendale, and now you're getting towards the ocean. And then Anaheim, I thought was more south.
Yeah, you're right. I'm probably thinking of something else whenever I was thinking Pasadena. But yeah, no, you're correct. Now that I'm thinking about it in my head, that is how it is. But yeah, we were east of LA. I mean, not east of LA, east of Long Beach. South.
Oh, so yeah, you're far
south of LA
south.
Proper.
Okay, I think I kind of know where it was because I went down to
Long Beach. Yeah.
I remember I went down there. I was doing magic on Queen Mary.
Yeah.
And they had a genie that was there. His costume was great. It looked so real. He had the leather shoes with the curls on the shoes and stuff. And it was high class costume. Looked like a genie.
Yeah. So like if you were to be like for Norwalk, if you were to be Do you know where Leisure World was? It's a landmark kind of spot. It's located like right near Seal Beach.
Mm-hmm.
So Seal Beach would have been a little. Let's see. I'm trying to think of how to get there. Yeah, because it'd be 6:05. You definitely go 6:05 to get there. So yeah, it was. But yeah, that was basically west of where I was at. It would be a little bit, I think, northwest of where I was at.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's located right in there. There's Norwalk. There's like Santa Fe Springs. You go out to like
There's a
Whittier.
casino down there.
There's like Whittier around there. There was a casino not too far. It was the Bicycle Club.
No, that's not what I was thinking.
So there was the Bicycle Club, which was not too far
I remember
away.
Whittier because Max Muscle was out there, and they're the ones that sponsored the martial arts events that we were doing. Okay, we're past due.
Oh yeah, we are 6 minutes past.
Woohoo!
Woo! Look at that.
So that's all we got for you today.
Yeah.
Now we're going to take this and chop it into little shorts and put it out there in the world. Thanks for tuning in. And leave us some comments. Like, comment, and share, and all that stuff. Peace, love, and happiness. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be good, be kind, be nice.